Wouldn't it be nice if I had like a cup of coffee? I was just drinking it and it was like 7 a.m. None of these things are true. If you're into Myers-Briggs and you find personalities and that kind of stuff interesting, or if you're like, man, I don't understand, like, why do I do this? Why does this keep happening? Or keep thinking this way or feeling this thing, you're gonna love the video because we get to dive into, we use me as an example. I'm an INTP, and if you don't know what that is, you're gonna find out. And if you do, you're in for a joyride. Feel free always to leave comments down below, stuff you like, what you don't like, just really anything, your thoughts down in the comments. Per usual, I'll be leaving all of John's social media and really any content that you can read or just want to take a peek at in the description below. So don't forget to check that out. You've heard my voice long enough. Let's be honest, I've really heard my voice plenty long enough. So let's do it. For the people that don't know, this man is a living legend and a genius when it comes to all things in your brain. And he's going to school to get a degree in your mind. Just kidding. What is your degree for?
I'm studying clinical mental health counseling for my graduate degree.
And how does it work with the personality with the Myers-Briggs? Is that just like something you enjoy? You explained it to me before and I can't remember. Was that like also along with the degree?
It was more of a certification.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, Myers-Briggs personality type test certification that I got. And it's probably more used in business arenas, like Fortune 500 companies use it very much in their hiring process. So,
no way.
Yeah, I'm unaware of how it's being used in the psychology and counseling realm right now.
Oh, yeah.
But I've definitely been noticing some patterns and some connections between Myers-Briggs and mental health.
Oh, yeah.
So...
For the people that don't know, like people that are watching this video and are like, dude, like what is Myers-Briggs or what are they saying? How would you explain to someone, okay, this is kind of what we're talking about. These are the handles.
Gosh. Well, I feel like there's two camps. There's there's the camp of like everybody is just so crazy about Myers-Briggs, they're just kind of burnt out on it.
Right.
And then there's the other people who've never heard about it
Yes.
and don't care to even give it a thought. So for those people, Myers-Briggs is a psychology system of really essentially how people process information and make decisions. And it was first developed by a European psychologist. He didn't call it Myers-Briggs because that happened later. A mother-daughter team, last name Myers and Briggs, came together. And they organized this psychology system into 4 letters. And that's where the 4 letters came from. So, and that's how they built understanding what the personality is with each letter description. So it's very deep. I mean, what people get on the internet is this person's explanation of a personality with just the 4 letters. And so there's so many more moving parts underneath it that people don't get.
Yeah, I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I didn't, especially when you started like exploring it and then explaining to me and I was like, oh my gosh, you're literally reading my mail.
Yeah. Some people want to talk about it and other people don't, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. Well, I know because like even now, I've been getting like out of nowhere. Someone will be like, hey, have you heard of Myers-Briggs or have you heard of, what's the other one?
Enneagram?
Enneagrams, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're like people just keep riding these waves. And I mean, I personally think it's so cool to have something that helps you to better understand what's happening in here. Well, I feel like in life, this is just my opinion, when something becomes like this is who you are, it's like, well, you're missing the point of it. It's a tool. It's not like you, the person. It's like understanding what's here so you can be able to be like functioning better as a person. Yeah. I would think.
Yeah. It's such a big and hard topic because I think
that sums it all up, right, John?
Yeah, it makes it, because it riles some people's feathers. You know, some people don't want to be labeled, and other people want a label.
Okay, so diving a little bit more into Myers-Briggs.
So I made this, and you're going to have to, the intention was to show Big ones being extroverted functions.
Okay.
And small ones being introverted functions.
This is amazing.
So
Did you make all these boxes?
Yeah, just for fun. Because I was like, people have so much more fun understanding this
Yes.
from a visual standpoint.
Yes.
So, so I made these 4 boxes just to kind of teach people.
Okay.
Back up. So Myers-Briggs deals with 4 functions.
Yes.
From the root, there's thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition.
Okay.
Everybody uses all 4.
Yes.
Okay. 2 of them are information gathering functions, and 2 of them are decision making functions.
Yes.
Okay. So thinking and feeling are the decision making functions,
Okay.
and intuition and sensing are the information gathering functions. Okay. Of those 2 groups split up, one has to be introverted, and the other one's extroverted,
Interesting.
and vice versa.
Okay.
Generally, introverted or extroverted, it's like one or the other.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
There is a special rule, but we can get to that later. So let's just talk about you.
Yes. Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone else wants to find out about themselves,
Yes.
they're going to have to come on the show
Yes.
and talk.
We'll bring you and just go, here you are.
That's right.
John's going to rip you open. Just kidding.
I don't know if anyone wants to expose themselves in that way, but yes. So, okay. Well, your personality as an INTP,
Okay.
and all other INTPs out there, sorry.
Okay.
So you use something called introverted thinking.
This guy.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is your dominant function.
Okay.
Okay. Introverted, meaning you love to internalize. People get the whole extroverted, introverted thing. They think, well, I just love to go out and hang out with people.
Oh, right.
So why did I get an I on the first letter? Or people who get an E, they say like, I'm a lot more introverted than this, so I don't connect with it.
Right.
It's just describing. It's meant to describe the type of function that you use as your dominant function. So introverted thinking as opposed to extroverted thinking, you want to internalize the logic in your head. You want to figure out how it works. You want to study something out. It needs to be concretely organized in your head. And you need the time, however much time you need the time to figure out how it works. And when you do have it figured out in here, it's neatly and tightly put away so succinctly that your brain knows how to pull it out when you need to do it. Sometimes it's a little difficult to explain
Yeah, frustratingly so.
what exactly is in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it makes sense to you. It's like I've done the research, I've experienced it, I've thought about it. Like this actually works, and until you take the time to exercise pulling from that and externalizing it with your voice,
Yes.
it becomes more easier as you get older in life.
It's so true.
Okay, so this is your dominant function, and this is what you love to live in all the time. If you could do this all the time, your hobbies, your toys, playing drums, doing YouTube. I mean, you're just like, I'm just going to get into it. Okay. Your second function, because this is a decision-making function, now your second function has to be an information-gathering function. Okay? Because it supports.
Got it.
Which is where the middle 2 letters of the Myers-Briggs comes into play.
Okay.
To tell you what your top 2 functions are.
Okay.
And this is your second function, extroverted intuition.
Okay.
It's really hard to succinctly describe all of these, but just kind of in a nutshell.
Yes.
It's like a world full of possibilities. Intuition is kind of like an idea-generating, future-focused function that loves to think about the possibilities. And so extroverted, meaning like, think of like, I imagine a spider web. Just like, man, we could go this way, we could go that way. We could come at it, and they're all connected, right? So like, if this is the goal, I could go at it this way, or I could come at it that way. Wow. Just an ability to view things in that way is it's a gift to this personality type, and you use that to support introverted thinking.
Interesting.
So when it comes to dreaming, sometimes you don't know what to pick because,
Yes.
well, I just have so many possibilities. Like, man, how do I figure out which way am I supposed to go? Okay.
It's the worst.
How's this going for you so far?
It's great. I feel good.
Okay. Your third function, introverted sensing.
Okay.
Okay. Well, there is a theory now that says that your third function is actually both introverted and extroverted for every personality. And we can talk about this.
Yes.
So, introverted sensing, I know for a fact that you do internalize. Sensing has to do with 5 senses.
Okay.
Okay. So, you internalize detail. So, when it comes to remembering things that have impacted your 5 senses, the way things smell.
Yes, so much. Oh my gosh. The way you look, what you wore, what the room looked like, what the
Yeah.
color temperature was.
Yeah.
Stupid amount of information.
Right. And sometimes it's like, why do I even need this?
Yes.
But I just remember it.
Yes. Story of my life.
Yes. Because it's down here, it's something that you prefer to not dabble into if you have to.
Amen. Yes.
So that's why you're kind of like, you choose to avoid the detail because it kind of hampers you from dealing with your top 2 functions, which you would love to spend your time.
Years. Forever.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, but you also use theoretically something called extroverted sensing, which means you don't internalize detail. You kind of just live in the moment. Blue sky,
that.
green grass, squirrel.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So there's this part of you that can get caught up with the detail and internalize it, but then there are other times where you're just like, I could care less about those details, and you just kind of like, I forgot about what was that again? Okay. It's a willingness to kind of just jump in and try.
Wow.
Whereas this one is more of like, let's research it out. What has statistically been proven to be right?
The worst.
What does Yelp say?
Yeah. Just turn it off, man.
Well, because then there's a part of you, because this kind of tells you that maybe you're not being creative.
Yeah.
If you have to go to this.
Totally. Oh, man.
Okay. Your last function is something called extroverted feeling.
Okay.
So this is the stack. This is how
Wow.
it works for you. Okay. Extroverted feeling has to do with outer harmony.
Yeah, okay.
You notice like introverted thinking, so you have to be an extroverted feeler.
Okay.
And then introverted sensing, you have to be an extroverted intuitive. So you can see as well. You know, it's interesting, like knowing your personality, I could probably make you talk more based on disharmony out here.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Here's an example. So like I encountered a traffic accident on the way to your house, and I had to take a detour, you know, and I sent you an explanation because I was going to be late.
Right.
And your response was,
All good?
all good.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. To the point.
Yep.
This is how it works. This is all I need to say. Because I know John, you know, he and I are buds. I don't have to worry about him. Now, if you felt like I was emotionally
It's the worst.
emotionally stressed, if I needed more reassurance,
Yeah.
you probably would take more time to formulate a bigger text.
I literally thought about it. I was like, nah, it's fine.
Shortcut.
Yeah, exactly.
This is good.
I was like, I've known him long enough. It's going to be okay. Oh, that's painful, man.
The fact that you actually thought about that.
Yeah, I took 2 seconds and I was like, it's okay. I'll just send all good.
Yeah, that's all you needed.
Wow.
That was totally fine.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I felt bad. Also, kind of connected to my personality, but
Yeah.
I felt bad that you might be waiting or that you didn't know what was going
Right.
on. But
That's so funny.
so yeah, so when there's disharmony,
Yeah.
you extrovert things more.
Which is that something that's like more uncomfortable for that personality type, or can gladly do. It's not like because I know what I'm saying is I know you talked about like sometimes the last one can be like if you use this, is that more like a dominant thing though?
Yeah, you're talking about the rut function.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's getting really deep.
Okay.
And this is probably the part where most Myers-Briggs people don't like to touch on. Because this is like exposing.
Oh, yeah. Here I am.
Here's the negative side.
Oh, sure. Do it, man.
This is what nails down Myers-Briggs personality types. People can feel like they're in two camps. They can be like, I identify with this one and I identify with this one, so I'm not sure. I could be an ENTP or I could be an INTP. Okay. As an INTP, though, your rut function is extroverted feeling. And so what is a rut function? A rut function is what you are susceptible to going to when you've run out of options and you're trying to fix the problem. And you're like, man, how do I, all right, this is just it.
Right.
So when an INTP like yourself goes to fix a problem, you first go to this function. Okay. How does this work? And if you feel confident about how you feel it works, if you feel confident about the way you think about it, you don't think about how you think, you just do it. All good.
Yep. Totally.
You also think about the shortcuts.
Oh my gosh.
Most efficient. Like, man, why do we have to make this more difficult? Like, let's make it easy, right? So the logic of it is like building these most efficient shortcuts of things that are important. If that doesn't fix a problem, if that shortcut logic building way that you do things doesn't fix, then you go to extroverted intuition, which is, okay, let's come up with an idea then. Let me think of something that I've never done before. So what are the possibilities? We could do this, we could do it that way. What if I try it this way? So you may try multiple options, things that you've never done before.
I think of so many stories of this happening to me. Sorry, trying to keep it shut.
No, it's fine. Yeah, feedback is great. And then if you don't fix the problem, then you go down to, okay, well, what has worked before? What have I experienced with my five senses that has worked before? If you get to this place with the focus on your third function, you're stressing out. You know you're stressing out. And then if that doesn't work, then you go, you could potentially
plummet to the bottom.
Yeah. So this is where personalities get to their worst part of themselves, where they really hate. They hate that about themselves. So this is you getting emotional. This is you maybe complaining.
The worst.
And using other things, expressive words. And then you're like, oh man, I don't want to be that kind of person. But yeah, you hate being the person who extroverts his feelings.
Yeah. It feels weak to me, which sounds horrible. But judging myself, that's what I think.
Yeah.
It's like you're just asking for someone to give you like oh yeah, I feel bad. Stop. Again, for me, obviously.
Right.
Not for other people, but
because you want to like this is how it works, and just deal with things logically, and we're good. Come on, people. Like, get with the program.
Get over it. Yes.
Work out if you're gonna work. You're gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like, eat right if you're gonna eat right.
And don't call me because you didn't work out. Just go freaking work out. Like, so bad.
What breaks you out of that is recognizing, no, I can figure this out. I can make a logical decision here. I can do it the way my personality prefers.
Wow.
You mind if we talk about like something that's just my own idea?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So disclaimer, this is not official Myers-Briggs. But I'm just curious. Like I want to create a conversation around this and hear what people have to say.
Okay.
I think that there's something connected for those people of faith. I think that there's something connected to introverted functions and how we think or feel God speaks to us and leads us. So in your case, introverted thinking and introverted sensing as your personality. My guess is that the way you are led by God in your relationship with Him is there's a specific thought that you feel God tells you to stick on, and a particular detail. And if those two are there, then like, okay, God, I'll listen.
Yeah, no question.
Sometimes I wonder, like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Is it in our own heads? Or is this God catering to who we are and how He made us?
I think that. Wow.
Is He being sensitive to the way that He created us in our unique way of making decisions and figuring things out? That's kind of specific to our personality. I would like to think that it's more the latter than the former.
Yeah.
That God is that good and that gracious,
Yes.
that He kind of tailors how He speaks to us in the way that we need it as individuals, even in our own Myers-Briggs personality type.
Wow.
It's just so interesting to think about, because when I thought about it for myself, and all the times where I made decisions, I felt like the signs, the post markers, the things where I felt like this was God leading me were very much in line with my own personality.
Wow.
Like your move to Seattle to do the intern program at Generation Church. I have a feeling there were things connected to this.
100%.
Figuring out if you were to date and marry Haley.
So true. Painfully true.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many things down the line like we could just point at and be like, wow, there's a pattern to how we feel God or think God speaks to us. Why do I think it's important? I don't know. Sometimes I think maybe just to find confidence in the fact that He does speak to us,
Yes.
and just to help us to not feel so crazy.
Yes.
I think Myers-Briggs is there to help people shed a little light on who they are
Yep.
and how God created them to be, and hopefully help them to be able to communicate with other people well.
Wow.
To be understood. Having a child on the way and thinking about how I was raised and how I want to raise my daughter, I just think about the fact that every single child is so unique. And, every child needs specific attention. They need to be taught and heard in a specific way. I think too, like understanding Myers-Briggs and understanding your child. I've been able to type children as young as 2 years old.
Wow.
And I feel like the benefit of it is you can start to communicate with your child in a way that they like to communicate or they prefer. Because it's all about preference.
Right.
People can learn to do both.
Yep.
This is not meant to box people in and say, this is how they are.
Right.
It's about, this is what they prefer.
Wow.
And, there's a thought of like, well, should we do what people prefer? Or should we challenge people to not do what they prefer so that they become more broad in their capabilities? I think that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it's huge.
I do think that there's something to be said about excelling in the things that you are naturally gifted to be in. If you were impeded in not being able to be alone and to figure out how things work, you would be a completely different person, right?
I would, yes, 100%.
And I mean, I just don't think that you would be able to be your full.
I would feel depressed. Just hearing about that makes you feel depressed. Like, oh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I would be a robot. Someone else's just, I wouldn't be able to be me. I wouldn't be able to think.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think there are some people in this world who just, they never get the chance to be parts of themselves who God created them to be because they felt like they needed to do it a certain way. Or maybe someone didn't understand them and they were forced to do it this way because someone above them said, this is how you do it.
Right. This is the right way.
This is the right way.
This is the way you've learned, sir. That's what you've saying. It's not the right way.
Yeah.
Besides absolute truths, like if someone has something traumatic happen, in a car accident, or your head's cut off, you're going to die. Like that's really graphic, but something like that. Other than that, at least the more I live in life, the more I'm like, especially the way I grew up was like, this is the right way. This is the right way to wash a car. This is the right way to take out the garbage. It's like, there's like a billion ways to do it. There is no such thing. You can build a house 100 different ways. Same end result. But for me, it was like, I just think that's so challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in our personality types, we build these shortcuts, whether it's emotional shortcuts or logical shortcuts or information gathering shortcuts.
Wow.
Based on like concrete sensing or even just imaginative shortcuts. And we use these shortcuts in our life to like, man, make things happen. Like, this is what I'm drawing from. This is how I deal with life.
Wow.
But we have to realize, like, your way of doing things is not everyone else's way of doing things. And just because you think that this is the best way, maybe for that person, it's better for them to do it a different way.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many different realms of this. Like, you're in a job situation, you have a supervisor. The supervisor's there to tell you how to do the work. I mean, that's different.
Yep.
Hopefully, it's an environment where you can collaborate and talk about different options. But sometimes, you get to the point where like the supervisor or the boss says, "This is how it's going down," and you're like, "All right, cool," and you do it.
Yep.
But when it comes to individual lives and people and relationships and interacting. There's just so much to learn and understand about people. And the more that we are willing to learn and understand with people, I think the better we can equip those people to be the best version of themselves in life.
I agree. And I think that what's so profound to that to me is it's not going, this is who you are. You can never change. You're stuck this way. Instead, it's like, this is what's happening in your brain. Like, at least in counseling, it was like, this is not bad. This option over here is not bad. Like, here's some options. And in some cases, hey, this is kind of really unhealthy. But it was never, ever like, you're a bad person. It was like, hey, did you even know this was here? And look, there's so much more in front of you that you can learn and grow into. It's like game changing because at least in my brain, it's like, well, of course someone would get depressed. They're stuck with this and they'll never move past it. They can't, And someone being able to go, hey, did you know you can just go like this? It's like, it just blows my mind. Like, people can be free, essentially. Yeah. And no one ever told you can be free from this. And there's like, this gets to work for you. You don't work for it. One other thing I wanted to just briefly chat about in regards to personalities was when we were on the coast, we went to that trip and you had the book there for kids.
Yeah. That
thing still to this day blew my mind because it was like, as I was reading the pages, you gave it to me. As I was reading the pages, I was like, almost, I didn't want to cry because I was like, what I would have given because it was explaining like basically what my personality would have been really beneficial for me as a kid to hear. And it was like, I legit was like holding back the tears because I was like, I didn't know this was even a desire of mine to hear these things. It was like freedom. It was acceptance. You are so perfect the way you are.
Yeah.
You're not a failure. It's not bad that you think this way. It's like trying not to like read it. Oh man, that was so powerful. And
Yeah, I think people need that validation
yes,
of like who they are is not wrong.
Come on,
when
man.
they were told through different sources that this was the wrong way to do it. Wow. The book that you're talking about, Nature versus Nurture.
Okay, yeah.
So for those who want to look for it online,
Please.
yeah, it's. I mean, I'm not getting any money for selling that book.
Yep.
It's an older book.
Not a sponsor.
Not sponsored here. I wish.
Yeah.
But the book, I got it because I love to dabble in Myers-Briggs stuff. And I thought, man, I just want to know a little bit more about how it relates to kids. How early can you see these things? I don't think Myers-Briggs changes ever in someone's life.
Interesting.
But what I do think is that there are different facets in a personality type that start to become more explored and more developed.
As like people begin to like understand more about or just grow, or like how do you think, how does that happen?
In my opinion, based on what I've seen in my few years of living, when you get to develop who you are, when Dominic gets to develop these two things, your dominant two functions. Sorry, wrong one.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's another part of you down here that your younger years you didn't really want to dive into. But your wife and relationships are making you more detail focused.
Wow.
And harmony focused.
It's frustrating how true this is.
Wow. It's frustrating. It's hard to do some of the less dominant functions in our lives sometimes. To focus on those things.
Yeah.
And some people would disagree with me on the whole compartmentalizing of all this and the conversation around it. But I've just been noticing these patterns of like how we live our lives connected to these boxes and what they stand for and in the order that they're in. Some people like to look at Myers-Briggs and you just have to view it as one whole, like interwoven, they're all connected.
Super fluid thing.
Super fluid.
Interesting.
And so it leaves it a lot more like hard to describe. And I mean, there's so many people who are like that with personality stuff, and it's like, I totally understand. I totally get it. And I hope to make this less about it seeming like it's trying to box you in.
Yes.
Even though I am using boxes.
When you explained this to me for the first time, it was like being rude. It was like, wait, what? Like, this is who I am? It wasn't to me like, okay, now I'm really nailed down. It was like freeing.
Yeah.
That's what was so profound. It wasn't about being, it's like, oh.
And then I would say if it's not freeing to somebody, then I'm probably not communicating it in a way that connects with that person. Because it's really hard to describe someone who's not your personality type.
I can't even fathom that.
The reason why I can talk to you is because of just years of practice.
Yes.
Like, hey, this element works with this. Did that work? Oh, no, that was wrong. Go back and fix
Go
it.
back. My dude is a living legend. Well, he's really good at what he does. There's those people, it's like they really enjoy something. So let me tell you what you don't know. The amount of times when John at the beginning was like really kind of diving into this Myers-Briggs, he would come over, we would go over, we would see him. And it was a matter of like, 3 seconds. And it was like, boom, Myers-Briggs. But it's like, you can't help yourself. I'm the same way about anything that I like. So it's pretty awesome because he's so passionate about it and it just kind of comes naturally to him. So DM the crap out of that guy and be like, look, dude, and I don't know, something. Congratulate him. He has a baby on the way. He's about to be a dad. They're only 2 weeks apart from when our baby's being born. So it's going to be pretty amazing. We'll send videos. I'm not going to send. Come on, bro. I am the living Ron Swanson. Y'all ain't ever going to see my family. What, dog? I'm just kidding. You're not going to see my family, though. Do I have gold and have I buried it? I'm sorry, what was that? Yeah. All right.